to my channel. Today we are going to be baking key lime pie. I got this recipe from Serena Bakes Simply From Scratch Pinterest. I will link it down below, and let's get started. So we're going to preheat the oven at 375, and then we're going to take some graham crackers. I think this is 12 whole graham crackers, and we're going to crush them into the crust. If you don't have a food processor, highly recommend you get one. But I've been there. I've used a plastic bag and a glass bottle, plastic bag, and a rolling pin. Also works to crush them up to get like a nice fine consistency. This is just quicker and electronic. All right, 12 whole graham crackers. Get as much of the crumbs in there since it's a graham cracker crumb crust. It's technically just graham cracker crust, but it is the crumbs. I don't know, words are hard. And then I'm going to add 1/4 cup sugar, just plain old sugar. Sprinkle it in there. I try to get it consistent, like evenly spread out, just to make it easier. And we're just going to use the bladey one, the sharp metal blades. That's the one. So lock it in, and we're just going to mix it until it's nice and smooth. That's a nice consistency that I like. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this half cup of melted butter, pre-melted. I'm just melting the microwave before I started. I'm going to pour it in, and I'm going to run it again. This time just enough to mix it together. Kind of look down the sides and see when the butter kind of gets mixed all the way in. So I'll know it's good. Subtle change, I don't know if you can see on camera, but it did get darker. It's mostly mixed in. From experience, I know this is as mixed in as it's going to get. So we're going to take it off. Take the spinny metal blade out. Grab a handy dandy spoon. It's got to be a handy dandy spoon. If it's not handy dandy, you need the new one. I'm just mixing it because sometimes on the edges the butter doesn't like to get in no matter how much I run it. So just quick little mix. All right, now we're going to take this, clear off our workspace. Pull out our pie pan. This is just a glass pie pan we got from Safeway for like $5 to $10-ish. It's awesome. Pour our pie crust in. Whoa. Now we kind of spread it out. I hope you wash your hands before, and because it's gonna squish it. So I have used a measuring cup to squish it before, and the parts were too thin. That's what I was trying to say. So just kind of nice and evenly spread it. If it's not perfectly even, it's fine. It's going to taste great. That's what people are going to care about most. I try to kind of put it over the edge, but it doesn't always work. I of course, since the first time I looked this up over a year ago, have not gone back to look at the picture. So I have no idea what she was made it look like. Okay. Squish, 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 squish. All right. Now we're going to put this to the side until our oven is preheated, at which point we will put it in for 7 minutes. So, now we're going to take some limes, and we are going to make half a cup of juice. So we're going to make 1 teaspoon plus 1 tablespoon lime zest. So the way I like to do this is get into my bag of limes, give myself some more space, take a lime, roll it out a little, roll out the lime. Then zest it using the fine side of a cheese grater. We also got this at Walmart for like Walmart or Safeway or one of those places for less than $10. So I just zest it. I kind of look around the lime, see if I've gotten all like, does it all look like this white part? That means you've zested it, or this green stuff is the zest, the green part of the peel. And once I've gotten about all I think I'm going to get off the lime for zest, I pull it out and I compile it, filling up the teaspoon one first. I find that it takes, depending on the size of the lime, about 4 to 7 limes. This might be more closer to 7 because they're smaller than some of the ones you can buy in the store. Let's put that pie, let's put the crust in the oven for 7 minutes. So now, cut it. I try to keep where I cut it and where I zest it different, because the juice could leak out, and if it gets in the zest, then you can't grab the zest easy, and it's a thing. So the only thing that I've used a fancy tool for that I think that's not like an everyday kitchen tool that you may or may not have, I think would be the zester. I don't know how else you would do it without the cheese grater. And I guess you want a good cheese grater, because a coworker of mine made this recipe and she has like a hand cheese grater, and so she said it's a lot more work to make. Oh, that does not sound fun to me. Now this tablespoon is optional. I think it's very nice. It adds a nice touch. We're going to use it as garnish at the end, but not necessary. Now it's time to pull the crust out. Okay, so now we do the slice. And the juice. Because we got an all round citrus juice, so you see how like I still kind of got some layers. Still got some layers. That means that there's juice in there, so that's why I pop it in there a second time. The thing's not too big to really get as small as these limes are, so that's why I do the double. And I think it makes a difference. See, now both of them combined is about the same. You know, we're also twisting on each other, but one is just a very thin little shell of a lime. Oh, we also want to reduce the heat of the oven to 350, so let's do that. We're going to take 4 eggs and separate them, which I'll just use my butter container. So I have a fancy egg separator. That was graham crackers from my spoon falling into the bowl. I have a fancy egg yolk separator, and honestly, what I find best is just my hands. So we want just the egg yolk. We want 4 of them. Your hands, or if you don't want to get your hands all eggy, which is understandable, but I find I always do anyway, the shells. Honestly, the best too. With your hands, you just kind of gotta cradle it, and then you just like barely spread your fingers. You don't even have to really spread your fingers out. Just enough, and the whites kind of drip away. Okay. Boom. Now I have to go wash my hands. I'm just gonna dump this down because I don't have plans for it. If you want, you can save them and try making other stuff. I've tried making macaroons. I have not mastered that yet, but I have tried. You could try making something with them. Macaroons or meringue or Google recipe, all good. So we're gonna take the egg yolks and the 1 teaspoon of zest, the smaller amount. I'm gonna mix that together so it's really well. You mix that, it doesn't take long, just enough. They kind of, the yolks kind of turn grainy, kind of speckled with green. You add 1 can of sweetened condensed milk. This is 1 14-ounce can. And mix those together. Kind of gives you a nice yellowy, light yellowy, oh, you can't quite see the color. A nice light yellowy color. Then you add your 1/2 cup of lime juice, mix that in. That'll take a little bit longer because the juice will kind of, at first, will just sit on top and takes a second to incorporate. Now we're going to take our slightly cooler crust. You can prepare the crust a lot further in advance and put it in the oven for 15 minutes.
Alright, so now it's been 15 minutes, so we're going to take the pie out of the oven. My parents have shown up, and so Jeremy and the ducks have come out of the room, and everything's a little chaotic, but the pie will go on. Now we're going to take the 1 tablespoon of lime zest and sprinkle it on the pie right after it comes out of the oven. This is 100% optional, but I think it adds a nice touch and makes it look more visually appealing. So if you like my stuff, please consider subscribing and liking this video. Have a good day!